Now, this is some of the common BS that I was taught as a child in Christianity. You see, as a child in Christianity, I was taught that we are born sinners. Now, the doctrine when I was first coming up in the 70s and the 80s, was the fact that you are born into a sinful world. And therefore, since you are born into a sinful world, then you are born as a sinner. And this is the way it was explained. And they would use the story of Adam and Eve to demonstrate this sinful nature of man. But the more I started studying this book, the more I realized how incredibly wrong this statement is, that you are born sinners. You see, Adam and Eve, according to their story, allow for sin to come into the world by being disobedient to Yahweh, to Enlil, because they ate from the tree of good and evil to which they were told they weren't supposed to. They allowed themselves to be tricked. Well, if they didn't know the difference between good and evil, how would they know that they're being tricked? They would not recognize evil. So if the serpent was evil, how would they recognize that it's evil? You have one deity who is supposed to be the supreme God. He's telling you not to eat from this tree. You have another awe-inspiring deity being that comes and tells you that that God is lying to you, that you would be just like him. But they don't know the difference. They don't understand charisma, negative charisma. They don't understand beguiling. They don't understand lying, because they don't know the difference between good and evil, according to this story. And so it makes absolutely no sense. Other people had different ways of telling the same type of story. Whether you have the Greeks with Pandora's box, then that's how evil came into the world. The problem was man just needed a reason, an understanding, an explanation as to why a person who murders someone can then love their children, why a person who gives to the homeless can then go home and beat their spouse. They needed to understand how we have this duality going on within us. It must be some outside force. It must have been something that happened, because they want to believe, all religions, all cultures wanted to believe that in the beginning it was a perfect society, a utopia. It's something that they desire to have, which is why they have that at the end for their heaven. Now, as I continue to study this book, I started to realize that there was something wrong with this thought. Because soon after you get past that story, you start looking at the story with dealing with Cain. Cain gets jealous of his brother because this deity chooses one over the other, because this deity likes meat and blood instead of the fruits and vegetables. The fruits and vegetables are healthier for you than the blood. The doctrine is that Abel gave his best, his first fruits, his best, and that's why this deity picked his over the other one, over the fruits and vegetables. But that's not true, because as you read this book, you realize that almost every sacrifice that this deity needed for atonement of sin, for fellowship, for ordination, for all these things required blood sacrifice and the sweet aroma of that cooking flesh. This deity loves the blood. He is a blood cult. But in that Cain and Abel story, before Cain goes and murders his brother, this deity comes to Cain and says that sin is crouching at your door. And tells Cain that he has the ability to not commit that sin. So although there is a sinfulness within the world because of the disobedience, Cain has the ability to not give into this sin, because Cain is not born a sinner. Just as Abel wasn't born a sinner, nor Adam and Eve were not born sinners because they hadn't committed the sin yet. But it was crouching at Cain's door. He had the ability to not sin. But then the story takes a twist, it takes a turn, it flips it on his head. Because after the flood, this deity tells Noah that every thought from man, from birth, is evil. Go read it. Go read your Genesis story. Read the part after the flood. He says that every thought from man, from birth, is evil. And this is why y'all are saying you are born sinners. So what you are telling me is that when a baby is born, that baby cries out for nourishment and cries out for love. The baby cries out because it's cold in that dang on room and they just came from the warm embrace of the womb. That they are already evil. They're already sinful. Every thought that that baby has. This baby has the thought of being nourished. This baby has the thought of being comforted. This baby has the thought of being loved, and it's evil. When a baby sees a toy that it wants to play with and another child is playing with it and they take the toy, they're not taking the toy because they know what stealing is. They know what personal properties is. They don't know any of these things. They don't have the concept of these things. Is it stealing, or they just want to play with it because they want joy, happiness? They want to fulfill that part of themselves, not out of malice for anyone else, but simply because they just desire to have it. This is not an evil thought. We teach them about personal properties. We teach them about sin. We teach them about murder. A child doesn't understand death. They see a bug, they see a frog, a rabbit, or any animal, they start to play with it. They're not trying to kill it. They learn to kill the other insects and animals because we teach them. They see you kill the ant in the house, the roach in the house, the bee in the house, the whatever in the house. They see you kill it, and they learn that these, if inside your home, warrant death. You teach them to kill animals. You teach them to take from others. You teach them to harm others. You teach them all the different negative things that they learn. You teach them that it's negative and to do it. Because when a child picks up something, they don't understand ownership and property. You do. You teach them that. So we are not, I am not, you can be, sir, ma'am, you can be a born sinner all you want. But I am not, and I was not, and I never was not, nor were my children. Everything that I learned from morality was based on my parents, my extended family around me, and my culture, and my nation, and all these other things that are around me that I learned. And then when I came to certain ages, I then critically thought through everything and decided what's good, what's bad, what makes sense, what does not make sense. And I'm sorry, your story that says that every thought from man from birth is evil makes absolutely zero sense, because it is not true. So you have a great day. And if you don't want to be a born sinner, then remember you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. For everybody on TikTok, I thank you for the gifts that you give in the comments. For everybody on Facebook, thank you for the stars. Everybody on YouTube, thank you for the super thanks. And I thank all of you for sharing the videos and subscribing to the channel. Y'all have a great day.